Welcome to the Hornet Spotlight for November of 2017. It is, like I say, it is November, and it is getting to the point in time where we are putting the spring sports to rest, and we are we're going in the winter sports. The girls basketball team's already off to a good start. Wrestling team will open their season this particular week, and it won't be long before the boys basketball and swimming will be going on as well. So there's a lot of activities taking place on the athletic field. Make sure that you check the school website, corporation website, to find out about all of the activities from the fine arts, the music, the art department. They have plenty of activity going on in the month of December. Holiday concerts, holiday sings, just a great time to come and visit Beech Grove High School or whatever school you belong to in this particular corporation. I might add November, remember the community Thanksgiving dinner on the 20th of this month of November. You're all invited. All you have to do is log on and make your reservations, and we will be here to have an old-fashioned Thanksgiving dinner for the community of Beech Grove. We look forward to doing a lot of things as the holiday season comes on. Activities at the high school academically are going on as we speak. Spell Bowl team, I believe, qualified for the state competition, so congratulations to Coach Wolf and those folks for doing a great job. Just a lot of great things going on right now at the Beech Grove High School, and it is time for the Renaissance Alumnus of the Month for the month of November, and we have from the class of 1976, Mr. Russell Hart. Congratulations. It's good to have you. Russell came all the way from, help me, someplace in Illinois?
Columbia,
Illinois. Just close to St. Louis,
yes.
right? And he is taking a long road to a principalship in that particular city. We're going to talk about how he got there and what led him to that particular thing, and it is quite an interesting story. But we'll go back to 1976. You mentioned Beech Grove before we went on air. Beech Grove High School at that time was very big in what everything was going on because there wasn't a whole lot else going on in terms of what kids could do at that time. So tell us a little bit about what was going on in the mid-'70s.
Well, in the mid-'70s, we didn't have malls, right? Kids didn't have anything to do on Friday or Saturday night. So when you had a basketball game, everybody came to the basketball games. So during the time when I was in high school, sometimes it was hard to find a seat at a game, and it was the most exciting ticket in town, and it was just a lot of fun.
And you participated those were some nice teams. I've heard about the Raker era, the males and those guys, and you were a part of that. Tell us how you functioned in that.
Well, I was the manager of that team, and if you knew my family, we all grew up on Ash Street in Beech Grove. We had the big basketball court in the backyard, and we were all going to be great basketball players. Come to find out, none of us were very good. So, well, at least my brothers were pretty good, but I didn't get any basketball skill, so my job was to become the manager of the basketball team under Steve Kaufman, who was the coach at that time. And that was the greatest thing that happened to me as a student at Beech Grove High School, because it was just such a fun trip, and those players were just such fun to hang around, and the moments that we experienced together was just unforgettable.
Being a part of some good teams when I was going into high school, those are still fresh memories. They stay with you. What other activities were you involved in high school?
Well, I was a tennis player. I probably spent most of my summers playing tennis, very active in that. I was active in my church, of course, when I was in high school, but probably, basketball I was just consumed with the whole time, and I couldn't wait for basketball season to get started, and just remembering some of those games. We talked about Gary Raker and Randy Males, who apparently still teaches here, right? I'd like to meet him before I leave today. Those were some of the greatest times, and I can remember specifically we had a 3 overtime game against Southport High School, and that would have been in the sectionals at that time, and it was the semifinal game, and you couldn't get in the building, and some of our parents of our players who were late getting there. They wouldn't allow them in the building because the fire marshal had to send them away.
Would that have been Mayor Buckley at that time?
Well, that was at Southport High. That
was at Southport. Okay.
Southport High
All
School.
right.
But I remember Mike Beagle's dad couldn't get in the game to watch the game, and his son actually hit the final shot of the game to put us over the top of the 3 overtime victory over Southport. And of course, they had a great player at the time, Jim Krevax, who was an amazing player, like Gary Raker was great. So yeah, a lot of things I did when I was in high school. You know, most of the things that I did while I was here, you know, were sports related, but basketball clearly was my favorite thing to do while I was here as a Hornet. And
you graduated in '76. And what was you mentioned something before we went there that I thought was pretty unique, because I guess I haven't heard it before. Tell us a little bit about your graduation, about commencement in '76.
Yeah, well, we were the bicentennial graduating class, and we had red, white, and blue gowns, graduation gowns, which probably was the only time that Beech Grove graduated a class that wasn't in black and orange.
And were you given a particular color? Was it set up so the class would look, or did you get to pick?
I think the girls were in white, if I can remember right, and the boys may have been in blue or red. I think we were in blue.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting, because we are contemplating some changes in our caps and gowns. So,
well, we thought it was really pretty cool.
That is the first time I've heard of that,
yeah.
And so that's interesting. You decided to further your education. Mm-hmm. Where'd you head from Beech Grove?
Well, from Beech Grove, I went to Ball State University and got my teaching degree in technology education, and I started teaching in Franklin Township Schools, and got married. And while we were in college, got married to Diana Showalter, whose father was the superintendent of schools at the time, and she decided to serve her country and become a nurse in the United States Air Force. So soon after I started working at Franklin, we started traveling around the country and the world in the Air Force. And so from there, we went to Texas, and I got my master's degree in public school administration. And then we traveled around a little bit more. And when we ended up in Ohio, I decided for a career change, and I decided to become a nurse. So then I went to Wright State University and got my Bachelor of Science in Nursing at that time.
And you were a nurse for how long?
About a year.
About a year?
About a year, and then when we ended up in Utah, I wanted to be a school nurse, and I went into a local Catholic school. At the time, I was not Catholic. Went into a local Catholic school, it's huge, elementary, junior high, and they were looking for a nurse, a school nurse. And when I got in there, it was August 15th, and they said, well, we do need a school nurse, but our science teacher just resigned today, and we're starting school tomorrow. Can you teach science? I said, sure, why not? So I started teaching science there in Utah, and fell in love with the Catholic faith, and then that's when Diana and I became Catholic. And then when we moved to Illinois, I started teaching in Catholic schools, and then therefore became a principal in a Catholic school. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm a principal at Chabot Catholic High School, which is in Waterloo, Illinois.
In what?
Waterloo.
Waterloo, Illinois. Okay.
There are actually two Chabot high schools in the country. One of them is in Terre Haute.
Okay.
And the other one is in Waterloo, Illinois.
And what size school is that?
We have 220 students at Chabot. It's a very small high school.
And you were talking about at your school, some of the big things and some of the things you do there.
Yeah, we're known for a couple things. Academically, we're a college prep school, but probably what put us on the map a few years ago in 2014 was I was working close with a Chabot or a Beech Grove middle school teacher named Michelle Alley. I don't know if you know who Michelle is. Right. Michelle was friends with my mother, who still works there, and I went to Michelle and I said, Michelle, look, I don't want to use textbooks anymore at Chabot High School. What can you do for me? And she sat down and tutored me for about a month, and then we decided to become a textbookless school. but we were also not going to buy electronic textbooks. And so she guided us on that journey. And so today, we don't buy electronic textbooks. Our teachers get their own resources and to meet state standards and national standards. And all of that was really set in motion by a lot of work with Michelle helping me on the side. And so there was a big Beech Grove connection with that. Well, then what ended up happening is I called Michelle and I said, Michelle, I don't want to make up snow days anymore. So when we have snow days, I want to do what we're going to call e-learning days. And she said, well, I think that can work because all of our students had to have their own device. They have to have their, they have to have their own Wi-Fi at home or access to it. And so when we have snow days, then we perform school on the internet. And so our teachers can, they have a lot of choices. One is they could log on live, or they could log on virtually, or they can do assignments, but they have to be very meaningful and purposeful lesson plans. And so that was a big deal because that was the year that we had a big blizzard and lots of bad weather across the country. And nobody was doing e-learning days. So when we started doing those, we had like 4 or 5 days in a row where we didn't have school. And so the news was getting out. So I was getting calls from all over the country, literally all over the country, Boston, Los Angeles, and people were interviewing our school over the TV with our picture of our school posted up on the newscast, just about how we were managing it and how that was working. And did kids really like it? Because kids like snow days, right?
Right.
Because they don't want to go to school on that day. It's this romantic view of, well, we don't go to school. We wake up in our PJs and drink hot cocoa and then go sledding. And we were going to, of course, destroy this romantic view. But the kids ended up really liking it because we don't make those days up now. And at the end of the school year, we don't have to add those onto our calendar. But it was kind of controversial when we started it because we did not ask permission to do it. And so after the first week or so, we got a call from the Illinois State School Board asking who we asked permission to be able to do that. And of course, we told them we didn't really ask anybody to do that. And they said they wanted to review that. And they came back saying, well, it's completely within the guidelines of the state code. And later they ended up getting us on board with helping coach other schools who wanted to do that. But that really all started with Beech Grove because Michelle Alley, who was a real close friend of my mom and still is the one who gave us a lot of guidance on that.
And that kind of broke the ground on that. It's like I always tell the kids when we need a snow day, well, would you rather go to school in January or do you want to go to school in June? You make the call. Man.
Right. Well, I tell you what's really been a benefit now is now we don't just use them for snow days. So now we put them in the schedule in certain places, and the kids really like that. So like at this Thanksgiving break that's coming up, the Monday that follows the Thanksgiving break is an e-learning day. So my faculty can stay home and teach at home, and my kids can stay home and learn from home on that day. And it's a nice transition from the Thanksgiving holiday and to the Christmas holiday. So, my faculty can literally bake cookies and teach, from their kitchen. And it's really been a nice transition into e-learning for us. And so that's really been that's sort of our claim to fame in the last decade.
When you did that, did you see a spike in your enrollment applications, or did that affect that in any way?
No, not really. No. I tell you who really ended up liking it. Well, our teachers at first balked, of course, because it's a lot of work to if you put together a really good e-learning day, it's a lot of work. And so you have to have really committed teachers. And they balked a little bit, but now, they like it because the continuity of what they're teaching, it's just all in place. Because if you're teaching something on the Civil War, if you drop that day out because it was a snow day and you're going to add it on at the end of the year, there's no continuity. Now they can keep that continuity, and they like it. And some of my older teachers who weren't real tech savvy, we had to nurse them along a little bit, but it has really been it's really been a good thing for us. But no, it hasn't really helped our enrollment or hurt it either way.
And do you do that, does that go like down into your kindergarten and things like that, or is that just a high school?
That's just our high school. It's just our high school.
Mm-hmm. You've mentioned your mom and your wife a couple times. Tell us a little bit about your family and how everybody's doing. And
sure.
As you know, you spent the weekend there, I guess. So
Yeah.
Update for me.
I do. So my mom is still working practically full time at the middle school, and she's done a fantastic job there. And my dad is 91, and I visited with him, and he's still doing a great job. And both my brothers are local, and Diana's working she's a nurse educator at Cardinal Glennon in St. Louis.
Now, Cardinal Glennon, is that a hospital school?
Yeah, it's a children's hospital.
Children's hospital, and she's an educator there?
Yeah, a nurse educator there.
Does she,
in the operating
like
room.
that role?
Oh, she loves that role.
And how long has she been doing that?
She's been doing that for about 7 years.
So and that's about the same length of time you've been, obviously, where you're at.
Well, I've been at Chabot this is my 14th year.
14th year,
So.
okay. And she's retired from the military, and you think this might be the last stop?
Oh yeah, this will be the last stop.
It?
Yeah.
You've seen enough of the world?
I've seen enough of the world. I really like being at Chabot Catholic High School, and I'm blessed to be there, and I'm going to finish everything out right there at Chabot.
Well, it sounds like they're in good hands, and I'm sure they feel the same way. Thank you for taking your weekend to come in and visit with us. We appreciate it. Again, and a token of our appreciation, shake your hand one more time.
All right. Well, thanks,
We
Randy.
appreciate you coming in. We appreciate your story. We appreciate, as with all the alumni that we have selected, we feel very comfortable and very happy that we have Russ with us today. I think he is another example of what makes this a great place to live and a great place to go to school, and we're very fortunate. And again, can't thank him enough. He took some time out. I actually called him in the middle of a run the other day. So I need to get out there and somebody catch me in the middle of a run. But looking forward to next month on the Alumnus of the Month, we'll have another person that may not be in the educational field, but I'm sure we'll find somebody that is close to what Russ is doing. We're kind of prejudiced towards educators around here. But thank you for watching. Again, make sure as the holiday season comes upon us, you come in. There'll be a lot of neat programs going on at all the schools in Beech Grove City Schools, and we hope you'll take advantage of that. Be sure to take advantage of all the athletics that are coming up as we look forward to an outstanding season in winter sports as well. Again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next month on the Hornet Spotlight.